Hi, I'm Jennifer and I'm quitting plastic. Today I'm making kombucha. Let's get started brewing the kombucha. You'll need a SCOBY, which stands for symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. You'll also need some black tea or green tea, and it needs to be the non-flavored kind because flavorings can cause mold. Start by brewing 8 cups or 2 quarts of water with 1/2 cup of organic sugar. You need to use 4 tea bags or the equivalent in loose leaf tea. Since I don't buy tea bags and I try to buy everything in bulk, I'm using loose leaf. I don't have a tea ball, so I'm just going to use a little piece of cheesecloth, and I'm going to buy one of those big tea balls the next time I see one. Your SCOBY is a living organism, so do not pour hot tea over it, you'll kill it. Wait for the tea to completely cool down. You can brew your tea in a stainless steel pot, but it's really important that you not allow the SCOBY to touch anything that's metal. Select a glass jar, a large glass jar, with a large wide mouth rim. After you pour the cold tea into the container, place the SCOBY and its contents into the freshly brewed tea. Place a clean piece of cheesecloth over the fresh brew, secure it with a rubber band, then set it on your kitchen counter to ferment for a week. Your SCOBY needs to brew between 73 and 80 degrees. We'll come back in a week and see what it looks like. This is the kombucha that I started brewing on Sunday. It is now Tuesday. You can see that slight white film on top. It's been a week since brewing the kombucha, and I want to show you what the baby SCOBY looks like. In addition, I've made another batch of tea so I can keep the process going, and I'm going to bottle it and flavor it. This is the baby SCOBY. The mother is at the bottom. It should look like this, all white, without any other coloring. In order to flavor it, I'm going to use some strawberries that I put up earlier this year. There was no sugar added to this, but it will certainly be enough sugar for a second fermentation. I'll just use the juice. I'm going to use a flip top lid, but this isn't totally necessary. You can use a screw top if you'd like. As a rule of thumb, you want to use 20% juice, 80% fermented tea. I'm using a wooden funnel that my husband made me so that no part of my kombucha touches metal. You could also use a measuring cup and pour it directly into the bottle. Ideally, you'd use a ladle in order to get this out, but mine is too large for the jar that I already had, and I'm waiting for my husband to make a wooden ladle for me as well. So I'm going to gently pour this out so I don't disturb the SCOBY too much into this really large container that I can pour through the funnel. It's important to leave 1/2 cup of tea or so that your SCOBY can continue to grow. And I will add the tea that I just brewed to this as soon as it's cooled down. And now I'm ready to fill my jars. I'm leaving a couple of inches at the top so that during the second fermentation, there's somewhere for those bubbles to go. It's already looking a little carbonated. It'll be really carbonated after the second week of fermentation. This will set on my counter for 1 more week. I'm also going to make 1 ginger flavored. I don't have quite enough fermented tea to brew the 4th bottle, so I'll put this back into the 1st week fermentation and bottle it next week. The kombucha is definitely fizzy. Oh, it's delicious. It's delicious. You want some? If you want it to be really sweet, allow it to ferment for 2 or 3 days. I allowed mine to ferment for 6 days, then I put it in the refrigerator. I also made ginger, so let's try that one out. You might want to use a towel when you open your kombucha because it could spew. Nicely carbonated. Let's see how it tastes. This one is really great. I didn't put any additional sugar in this, only the ginger, so it does have a slightly vinegar taste, which I really like. I'm really tempted to make some more strawberry kombucha this week because that was just spectacular. But I think I'm going to try another process, and that's just using straight juice. So this is a tart cherry, but it does have quite a few grams of sugar in it, so I think it's going to be great for the second fermentation. My kombucha has a baby that has grown to a massive size. This week, I'm going to divide this into 3 more baby kombuchas so that I can brew even more. Your kombucha baby should look a little slimy like the photos. For this process, you want to wash your hands really well. We're going to split the kombucha baby and put it in new jars. Reach into the jar and separate the mother and baby. The mother will be on the bottom and the baby on top. Once you remove the baby, if it's really large, you might want to tear it in half and place it in separate jars. Pour a half a cup of fermented tea on top of the babies. Add more fresh brewed tea after it's cooled, just like you did the week before. This way, you'll keep the fermentation going every single week. Don't worry about little pieces of brown yeast that might brew on the kombucha. This is not mold. Mold would be black or green or blue or some other funky color. I hope you've enjoyed making kombucha with me. Join me at quittingplastic.com for more.